Today we'll be taking a look at the LG 32GP850 versus Samsung Odyssey G7. This is an IPS versus VA video, and we'll be seeing the differences in darkroom gaming with Tetris Effect. We'll be seeing how the local dimming works on the G7 versus the IPS. We'll be looking at full screen gaming and an in-depth look on Doom Eternal, showing the quality of VA versus IPS and how local dimming also does add to the immersion of the picture. All of this coming up, let's get into it. And while both of these monitors are amazing and offer different technologies, today I'm going to show you the differences between an LG IPS Nano technology panel versus the best VA panel on the market today from Samsung. Alright guys, now you can see here, the differences are drastic with IPS versus VA technologies. The contrast has so much more depth on the VA panel. Remember, this is rated the best VA panel on the market today, which is the 1000R curved Samsung Odyssey G7 monitor. Not the G70A that is 4K IPS, this is the 1440p VA version, 27 and 32 inches. While we have here the LG 32-inch GP850, and this also comes in 27 and 32 inches. Of course, you know, 27 inches would give you a better pixel density, which would make everything clearer and maybe even brighter, according to some tests. But here we're going to show the differences, as you can see here with Tetris Effect on the Xbox Series X. You can see on the Samsung Odyssey G7, at the top of the screen, you can see the local dimming is working. And you can see how much more depth the picture has of this VA technology, while the LG IPS Nano technology does look washed out. If you want to fix this look, you can enable PCRGB in the Xbox or HDMI full on the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. And you can also fix this in the NVIDIA control panel on PC by adding plus 47 brightness, plus 55 contrast, and maybe add a little bit of punch with the digital vibrance of plus 55 or plus 60, according to your preference. But the local dimming here is working on the G7, while there is no local dimming on the GP version of the 32-inch LG. They both look beautiful, and in a dark room, which you're seeing here, this is where VA panel technology wins all the time. If you have this in an ambient lighting room with lots of RGB, with TVs going on, with other screens and monitors and lamps, your eyes can't really focus on what black is because you do have a lot of ambient light, so this won't look as drastic. And plus, if this is how IPS monitors looked all the time in real world, nobody would buy an IPS monitor. I have many IPS monitors here, from the 850 and to the 950, and they look beautiful. But when you do a versus video in a dark room, these are the results, and I wanted to show you to help you make an awesome buying decision. VA panel wins in dark room gaming, especially the best VA on the market today, in conjunction with the local dimming. You can see here, local dimming does matter in certain situations, even though the G7 has very low local dimming zones. I think there is no contest on which screen looks better. But when everything is lit up and everything is going on, the color, the brightness, everything, they look equal. They're both rated at around 350 to 400 nits depending on what's on screen, with the G7 even being able to hit higher numbers with SDR peak highlights. But when there's everything lit like you're seeing right now, they look identical, and the G7's even lowered DCI-P3 color coverage does hold its own because of that VA depth. As you've seen in my other videos, I've always said VA panel depth always beats IPS technology in low and dark environments. But with both of them being in ambient lighting, it makes it more even. Here is another good example of VA depth over IPS. Here we have Doom Eternal. As you can see, even in full screen, they do look beautiful. But what I want to show you here is when you start up the game, look at the IPS contrast. I did higher the ISO so you can better see. The low IPS contrast is easily visible and viewable, while the G7, look at that local dimming up top. You can see the highlights are there. The local dimming is kicking in, but the left and right of the screen is dark. Now, this is one of the major differences between IPS versus VA. The VA depth, again, this should be called a VA depth video versus IPS, because this is where you can see a high quality VA panel versus, I want to say, above average IPS LG Nano technology panel. But VA will always beat IPS in these kinds of scenes. Now, this is the adjust slider to see the Doom logo to adjust your screen. Look what happens here when I'm lowering it. On the LG, it's totally gone. You can't see anything. while if you look closely on the VA panel, you can still see the words Doom. But even when I was lowering it a bit, you can see the IPS is washed out versus the depth that is still there on the G7. If you have seen my other video when I had Mortal Kombat playing, you could easily see the 3D depth. I say 3D because that's what it looks like. I would say the LG looks like paper while the G7 looks like colored markers. The wetness, that depth. And until you see it in person, until you see it side by side in a dark room, that's what I'm trying to show you, that's what I'm trying to explain. VA will win, even though the IPS on the LG is one of the best in the market today also. Here I am slowing this down so you can see the local dimming working on the G7, which on the left and right, it's all dark. That's the beautiness of having local dimming on certain monitors, while the LG not having any just makes everything a washed out look. And you can see it just looks better on the G7. Here's another scene with Doom Eternal. You can see on the G7, it just looks much more 3D, while on the LG, it is washed out. Again, that paper versus wet look is what I'm trying to explain, and I hope you can see it here on screen. So here I'm going to show some more gameplay of this game, just so you guys can get a better sense. When everything is lit, it's more even, but in darkroom gaming, even in this scene right here, you can see the G7 32-inch monitor is better at displaying that 3D-ish immersive look when you're playing this game. If you have it side by side, my eyes always tend to go towards the G7 because it's just a much more enjoyable picture. This is not my VA preference over IPS. This is video proof. VA beats IPS, even one of the best IPS monitors on the market today. VA wins. But remember, you got to get the best of the best. You got to get the best VA, because if you put a mediocre or mid-tier VA panel, things will change and it won't look as crisp, as depth, as 3D-ish like the Samsung VA panel. So friends, I hope this video was helpful. I hope it answered some questions on IPS versus VA technology, 3D picture depth. VA wins. The LG IPS technology is awesome. It's beautiful. The sRGB mode on every single LG Nano IPS technology panel is the best of the best, even in my eyes, beating the Samsung VA. But that is for content creators or people who want to adjust pictures and videos. sRGB mode, to me, is a hidden gem, a hidden secret feature that the best IPS panels can use to their advantage for a much more neutral tone that so far I haven't been able to replicate on any other monitor. This is a versus video, and the Samsung wins on VA 3D depth, but IPS panels are awesome, and they do have strengths also versus VA panels. So friends, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did find it helpful, please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you never miss out on a future LG 32GP850 video or Samsung Odyssey VA G7 video. I'll see you guys next time.